Adding a swivel mount to the screen of your Cybertruck. Here we go. We've all become very accustomed to screens in our everyday life, whether it's in our automobiles or here in our homes. And all the TVs in our homes swivel left and right.
Yet, the screen in your Cybertruck remains stationary. It can't move in any direction, up and down or left and right. That is until now. Today's video, I'm going to be walking through how to move this screen in both directions, both left and right, and down and up, to really customize yourself which any way you want. And right now I'm staring at a pretty bad sun in my eyes. So if I was driving, I'd want to go ahead and cock this up a little bit and just cock it over to face me a little bit. And just like that, no glare. In this box is exactly how I got the screen rotation mount from anysix. So it was wrapped in like a little plastic sheathing first. So this is what it looks like once you open it up. We're gonna do an unboxing, let you see exactly what's in the box.
All right, so here's a sped up unboxing. First of all, it's packaged really nice. Everything's safe and secure. You won't have to worry about being damaged. You have a couple pages of instructions. Looks like a little bag of hardware with a tool, and then 3 separate pieces. 2 of them are just plastic shrouds per se, and then one of them is the actual aluminum alloy mount itself that will bolt in.
Partnering with anysix, one of the deals we've made is they're going to give anybody that wants to purchase this or anything else from their site a 20% off code. That code's going to be my channel name, Carisma, C-A-R-I-S-M-A. I'll, of course, leave that down in the description with the link to this swivel mount and also the link just to their website to see whatever else you can find. But again, put that 20% code in, Carisma, and save some additional money on top of the already inexpensive mount they have on the site. I always like to go through what tools you're gonna need to accomplish this job. You're gonna need 3 tools. You're gonna need this little pry tool. You're gonna need an Allen wrench, which I'll give you that size here in a minute. You're gonna need an Allen wrench with the Torx head. And really the benefit of all these are, all 3 of these tools here come with your anysix screen rotation mount kit. So you don't have to worry about bringing anything to the table. This shows up in the mail and literally 20 minutes later, you're gonna have a screen mount, swivel mount mounted in your truck.
All the steps are clearly marked on your directions, but step 1 is you're going to use that little trim tool to pry out this little plastic piece on the bottom of your existing screen.
For the number 2 step, you're going to remove 2 screws, but you're going to use their little included hex head Allen wrench to do so.
So the 2 screws you're going to remove are actually holding what is the temperature sensor of the truck out of the mount that it's currently into. Now you're going to use that little Torx head driver that it came with to take these out. They are kind of tight, but you can get them out.
These 2 little screws that you pull out, you're going to want to keep them because you are going to reinstall them a little bit later on in the process. Third step, you're going to remove 2 larger Allen wrench screws. They're actually going to come straight down from underneath the screen. Let me show you here, but you will be using, again, this included large Allen wrench.
With that temperature sensor out of the way, these 2 large screws are actually accessed fairly easily. They are in pretty tight, but the Allen wrench that it comes with is a pretty stout wrench and does the job quite easily. Just back both of these 2 out, no problem.
Again, you're going to want to keep these 2 screws because you will use these later on in the reinstallation of the process also. Step 4, you're going to remove the wire that's connecting the truck to the screen. There's actually 2 different sets of wire harnesses in the back. You are going to be removing the one that's larger that has the piece of orange on it. Easy to remember because you have this orange little pry tool that you're going to use to help separate the clip from the harness. I have found if it's easier for you, you can actually pull the screen out at this point and rotate it, especially if you have somebody that can help you hold the screen. It makes it a little bit easier to access this particular harness.
So I'm going to show you exactly what I did here. So I went ahead and pulled this screen straight out. Now that it's no longer being held in with those big Allen bolts. You can see as you get in close here, that's the little harness I have to disconnect. I again use this little trim tool. I just kind of pull the first little initial piece of the plastic down, as you can see here. Then I can grab my fingers and actually pull the clip out from the wire.
In step 6, you're going to install this included cable, which basically looks like, to me, it's a type C. It's a female on one end, a male on the other. You're going to go ahead and insert the female end of this wire onto the existing cable here.
So I just thought I would plug this right in, and it was a little harder than that, which I'll explain to you here what I had to do to make this fit.
So I do want to point out one thing as you install this is your cable. The female side of it here has this like this black rubber housing around it, and it's not going to fit cleanly onto this clip. But there's actually a part of this clip that pulls off. Now this threw me for a second, so make sure you follow along here to make this easier for you.
It's the part that actually has the orange on it that actually just kind of pulls out in a way, because it's just a link attachment. You don't need it at all. And then that gives you enough space to where you can push your little extension cable onto that. It actually fits just nice.
Number 7 is going to be very simple. It's going to have you using this little included zip tie. You're just going to fasten the 2 wires together that you have here in the truck.
This part's really simple. Don't overcomplicate it. And to be honest, you could probably skip this step and be just fine. And done. Step 8, also very simple. You're gonna be using these 2 little black screws you took out earlier. You're gonna locate this little black piece here. This is gonna be covering the temperature sensor of the truck. And you're gonna use that included Allen wrench again and attach this onto the actual temperature sensor, which is this little round part below. It only fits on one way, and the screw's still lining up. If the screws don't line up, you have it backward, just flip it the other way. But you can see there's a little cutout. You can see it here. That's probably the best angle right there. You can see there's a little cutout to where it's going to go right in to this. And then you're just going to put your 2 screws back into the back of this like so. And from there, I just kind of put these 2 screws back in finger tight, and then got my little included Torx wrench and snugged them up. Next, I'm going to do steps 9, 10, and 11 all together. 9, of course, find the bracket. 10, put the bolts up in. And then 11 is just tighten them down. Here we go. You're going to look to put this thicker part, the boomerang looking part, which is top up, into the open spot of the metal that you've created by pulling the screen out. You're going to slide these in just like this, making sure to line up. They're going to slide through the bracket back into the metal that they were previously in before we took them out in the first place. I can put them finger tight, then I snug them down with this again included Allen wrench. And everything connected to this is a really strong metal, both the receiving bracket and the mounting bracket, so go ahead and get it tight. And this is what it's going to look like when it's all put into place. Next step, you're going to be installing this larger piece of plastic, which is just a cover. It's got 2 little cutouts on it that's going to help you get it in. So you can see them, you got them right here and right here. These are going to be open just to fit past the little metal, the bolt you just put in. So that's how you're going to know when you have it on, is when these little spots are filled with the little edge of the bolt you just put on earlier. Again, don't force it on, but let it fit nicely. And here I'll show you a close-up where you can see the bolts when it's on, right? Next step, we're just going to snap this little temperature sensor back into place. You're going to want to have the larger side up like this. And actually this little bottom is going to kind of hook in like this and then snap back up into place like so. But make sure your little USB cord is down here on the bottom, because that's where you're going to want it here in just a little bit. And again, this is what it's going to look like when it's snapped into place. Again, that dangling extension cable down below. Okay, in the next step, you'll be installing this last little plastic bracket that came with your anysix kit. However, if you're like me, I still have the bracket on my screen that I'm going to need to pop this off. It is attached in 3 little places, as you can see here. You're going to have attachments here on the side, and then one here in the back. Although you're not going to reuse this bracket for this particular installment, I do recommend being very careful so you can get it off in one piece, just in case you need this again in the future to return this to the original factory settings. Again, you can use the included orange pry tool. I'm just going to choose to use my fine tip screwdriver. The sides are easy. They just kind of pop out. Not too bad. The back is a little bit trickier, but again, you just kind of pry it out. Like so, all in one piece. And the new bracket will put back into those same clips, just the same, with just a little bit of force. Next step, now to the fun part. You're going to install your screen, and you're going to hook back up that Type-C wire you have back into the back of your screen right there. So the next step, now that I have this whole screen pushed on, I kind of got that little wire tucked in behind it. I'm going to put back in these large Allen wrench screws into the bottom. It's just a little tricky to line it up, but you'll see here from the lower side what it looks like. I actually got a little flashlight that made this a lot easier. Just line it up, screw them in tight. So the directions mentioned is plug it in, your screen might just light back up. If it doesn't, it mentions your cables could be in backwards, although you didn't necessarily know it. So you're going to rotate the 2 Type-C, so I'm going to give that a shot and see if that's the case with mine. And sure enough, that little adjustment, taking it out, flipping the cord in, I don't know what all that means, it popped on. Really a pretty cool thing. Let me kind of show you here, let me flip it around for you. Screen here, as you can see, of course, watching Trump on Joe Rogan, seeing how that goes. You can see, got the screen rotated in and out. Got some up and down action. Very, very cool. I think probably most of the time I'll slide it tilted up and towards myself. To jump back over here on the passenger side of the car, I'm going to show you just the look around of how it looks from the backside, which is honestly really neat, really clean, very factory looking. All right, so here's a look from the backside. Again, my sweet Cybertruck logo. You can see underneath here, I've got really just this one wire hanging through, and the rest of it looks very OEM, very factory, very tight seals here. all that part is nice and just looks, still gives you your full range of motion, the flex in and out. And it's, by the way, it seems like the right level of flexibility, meaning it's not so hard you can't move it, but also it's not so loose they're gonna be flopping around while you're driving. If you put it in one spot, it's gonna stay there for you. This is the first product I've used from anysix, but I would absolutely go back to them. Shipping was quick, it was efficient, the product was easy, some of the best instructions you ever get, which you're not gonna need if you watch my video. But again, some of the best instructions you could ever get, super simple, super clean. And in case you're wondering, this mount does fit all Cybertrucks, including non-Foundation Series Cybertrucks, which would be everything through to date, end of the year, 2024. And my guess is even and beyond at 25 and 26 and beyond, because Tesla seems to stick with their trucks over and over. And for what it's worth, this product claims to be made of a high-strength aluminum alloy, and I can vouch, it does seem very stout. The actual piece that you put on to swivel left and right, that little swivel bar, is very stout, very thick, that you would not have any kind of problem whatsoever of this holding up to, you know, any strength or any durability test you'd actually run across. In fact, it's just as sturdy now as it was before, if not maybe even a little sturdier now. And again, don't forget my discount code, CHARISMA, C-A-R-I-S-M-A. Get yourself 20% off of any of these fabulous products that anysix has to offer. And make sure to subscribe to this channel and catch me on my next video, where I have a whole bunch of other cool things just like this coming your way shortly.